In the early days of America, the promise of freedom came at a cost. For some, it was a contract. For others, it was chains. Today, we uncover the story of how indentured servitude became chattel slavery, and how a labor system meant to build a nation ended up dividing it for centuries. When England established colonies in the early 1600s, the New World was rich in land but poor in labor. Plantations needed workers to clear the fields, grow tobacco, build towns. Enter the indentured servant. They weren't enslaved, not in the beginning. Most were poor Europeans who signed contracts, promising to work for 4 to 7 years in exchange for passage, food, and shelter. It was brutal, yes, but there was light at the end of the tunnel. Freedom. A chance to start fresh in a new world. But that promise was only for some. In 1619, the first Africans arrived in Virginia, captured, sold, and traded into a system still taking shape. At first, a few Africans were treated like indentured servants. Some even gained freedom and land after their terms. But as the colony grew, so did greed. And the line between temporary servitude and permanent bondage began to blur. By the 1640s and 1650s, the laws started to change. Courts began ruling that black servants would serve for life. In 1662, Virginia passed a law declaring that the status of a child followed the mother, not the father. That meant if a woman was enslaved, her children would be too, forever. This wasn't an accident. It was a legal blueprint for hereditary slavery, racial, profitable, and self-replicating. But one event in 1676 sealed the deal: Bacon's Rebellion. Poor white servants and enslaved Africans united against the ruling class, tired of exploitation, corruption, and broken promises. For a moment, race didn't matter. Class did. That terrified the elite. After the rebellion failed, the colonial government rewrote the playbook. White servants would get land and privileges after freedom. Africans would get chains permanently. This was the birth of racial hierarchy in America, designed not by chance, but by fear. As tobacco and later cotton fueled global trade, slavery became the engine of empire. Indentured servitude faded. It was temporary, unreliable, and expensive. But enslaved labor, it was endless, hereditary, and free. By the 1700s, the colonies had shifted completely. Africans and their descendants weren't workers, they were property. Men, women, and children were listed beside horses and plows and ledgers. America's economy was now built on human lives. A freed white servant could own land, vote, and rise in society. An enslaved African could never escape the law's grip, even if they worked the same soil. One group became citizens, the other became a caste. The divide wasn't about labor anymore. It was about identity. The word slave became synonymous with black, and freedom became a privilege reserved for white. By the 18th century, chattel slavery spread across the South. Entire states depended on it. Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia. Generations were born into bondage with no memory of freedom. Indentured servitude disappeared into history books, but the racial hierarchy it created became the foundation of American society. When slavery ended in 1865, its ghost didn't vanish. It lived on through sharecropping, segregation, redlining, and mass incarceration. The hierarchy that began with servant versus slave still echoes in who owns wealth, land, and opportunity today. Indentured servitude was meant to build a workforce. Chattel slavery built an empire and a wound that still bleeds through America's story. Two systems, two beginnings, one defining difference: choice. Indentured servitude was temporary bondage by contract. Chattel slavery was permanent bondage by color. And understanding that difference isn't just about history, it's about seeing how power and race were engineered to shape the America we live in today. Subscribe for more untold chapters of Black America.